You guys have been begging for this one, and I don't blame you. In celebration of 200 subscribers, let's get started with light manipulation. First off, I want to thank you guys for getting me to 200 subscribers. This was supposed to be the 100 subscriber video, but my schedule has the exaggerated swagger of a 20-year-old lazy black guy. So, I know this video might be a little late, but in all honesty, I'm just a weirdo. Or at least I think so. Yeah, I am. I just really like superpowers, and what better way to show that than to dedicate an entire YouTube page to it, right? No? Is that not how religion works? Bruh. Realizing I might have gone too far with that joke, I appreciate your support anyway. In all of its absolute and ethereal beauty, along with the ability to illuminate, enlighten, and inspire reverence, users of Photokinesis can create, shape, and manipulate visible light, which is responsible for the sense of sight. Light is the natural agent that stimulates sight and makes things visible. And with something being natural, it wouldn't be that far of a stretch to say it's something essential that humans need. I mean, think about it. The capability to see is something that can't be underestimated in any sense. You still don't believe me? Blow sand in someone's eye who's charging at you and see if they stop to cover it. Or if you really want to be a dick, blindfold someone and then leave them in a forest for an hour. I guarantee you they'll be right where you left them. That was the roundabout way of me stating how important visibility is. And light is the definitive source for all things that enter the realm of what's seen. But you know what else is essential? The knowledge about to be shined onto you in these next few minutes. But like all great things, apparently knowledge has no chill, and the light rays past this point are, for lack of a better term, blinding. But there is a way to protect your precious corneas and still enjoy this awesome light show of info. And that, my little light bulbs, okay, I think I might be done with that, is by hitting that like and subscribe button. The worst thing in the world is to be that guy in the spotlight with his pants down. But if you want to avoid that cringe-worthy fate, hit that share button so you can not only share the spotlight, but the embarrassment as well, if that's what you prefer. If you're just here for the applications, uses, and uses for this power, then skip ahead to this time. But those who are ready to let their light shine, grab onto these photons and, okay, you know what, I said I'm done with that. Let's just go. Full disclosure, I didn't come up with that letting my light shine thing I just said all by myself. That's not something I feel comfortable taking credit for. Mainly because I don't want to end up missing. That cute little limerick is from a song. And that song that is based off of took inspirations from mythology and legends and world culture. So let's follow that road instead. I'm pretty sure that everyone at some point or another has heard of a light deity. You know, a god or goddess in mythology associated with light and or the day. Oftentimes heavily associated with sky gods, they tend to be the most popular in their respective pantheon. Whether it be a pretty boy who pulls the sun across the sky in a flaming chariot, or a deity so beloved that a prophecy of his death would start the end of the world. Or the concept of yin and yang, which shows the interduality of darkness and light, and how they are opposites but are locked together and intertwined. But it just doesn't stop there. When we associate a concept to something larger than life, like a deity, then it would make sense that we would be able to see it in the visible realm as well. You still not following me? Fireflies and will-o-wisp were thought by many cultures, before reason, to be spirits of the dead or a type of fairy folk. And what's the spirit associated with? Ethereal energy and light. Remember that last thing I said, that's going to be important later on. Now, this ability is oftentimes lumped together with stars, or more importantly, the sun. Our sun. It's not a stretch to say that the majority of the light that the planet Earth receives is from that same star in the center of our solar system. But here we go diving into the concept of light. And I can honestly say that even though as a scientific concept there are still a number of things we don't know about light, on a basic level we know that intense heat can cause combustion, and as a byproduct of fire burning, consuming fuel, and producing energy, light is created. The light emits photons outward from the center of the source of energy, which is why hot things glow. Normally. This makes intensity, propagation of direction, which is referring to its axis, X, Y, and Z axis, the one normally found on graphs, its frequency and wavelength, these two are interchangeable, as well as its range and spectrum, these two are interchangeable as well, and polarization, its ability to move in more than one direction. This refers to light's capability to reflect or refract off of certain substances or leave behind some kind of a glare. And the photons produced from that source of energy reaches nigh impossible speeds of 299,792,458 meters per second. I hope I read that right. Or 186,000 miles per second. That's so much simpler. This allows light to essentially always be there, as the concept of time isn't experienced by photons. Because they always move at their top speed, they can't be measured in that manner. It has to be measured by distance, which is why when referring to the concept of light speed or light years, it's normally measured in terms of distance traveled, not by speed, because you can't effectively calculate something that doesn't have its own sense of velocity, meaning photons don't slow down or speed up. They just exist at their top speed, and that's it. So, that's a brief scientific breakdown on how light operates. I'm not a scientist, I'm self-learned. But this channel isn't about how accurate my scientism is now, is it? Wait, is it? Oh my God, I hope not. Symbolically, light is an ancient symbol of truth and intellectual thought, the complete opposite of ignorance, aka darkness, and the ability to purify, which has been deemed corrupted or unclean. It's almost universally agreed that the dark, or at least the concept, is considered to be frightening and sinister, associated with things that we can't understand or comprehend. Light, however, has the potential to conquer darkness and bring order out of chaos. Light has many similarities to fire, like stated earlier, producing both illumination and heat. However, fire is often presented as a primal or destructive force, whereas light is a protective force that literally illuminates the darkness and can produce gentle warmth. In some cases, light and fire overlapped and sometimes intersects with the zippity zap zap as well. You know, electricity. All three of these powers possess similarities in qualities of purification or total devastation, depending on the medium. As in fiction, solar power is occasionally a mixture of the powers of fire and light. So, solar-related characters tend to have a mixture of these abilities. Which is why we have sayings such as, "What's done in the dark will come to light," or others that include but are not limited to, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that," or a personal favorite of mine, "Those who fear the darkness have never seen what the light can do." I'm not gonna lie, I really like that quote. Okay, I freaking love that quote. All right, you know what? Okay, here's what we're gonna do about that. I'm gonna give 4 more people that can guess where that last quote is from another set of Crunchyroll gift cards. So, if you guys are interested in that, there are 8 chances to win. I don't know, it's a work in progress. This isn't a promotion. I just want to help my fellow nerds out and explore various ways that superpowers are explored and portrayed. And who knows, maybe you can be inspired yourself and innovate one that I can make a video on one day. So, once again, send an email here with the quote as a subject and place your answer in the text box. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, light is usually portrayed in world culture and popular culture as the paragon of goodness or pureness. You want to show how much of a hero they are? Or show the varying elemental forces of evil in whatever medium you're in exactly why they need to beware your power or your Green Lantern light? Then just use this counterpart to any darker themed power. This frequently involves magical healing and divine power and is normally stated in medium to carry esoteric properties, meaning it's viewed as explicitly divine rather than just being light. Although in some media, this can mean literal scientific light as well, and whatever energy producing capabilities it possesses. Because if you didn't know, light and energy are fairly synonymous. Why? Well, it's simple. Energy produces light, and light produces energy. If the powers in question are used to attack, then the user is more than likely going to be immensely destructive, as light is pure energy. Like most other types of elemental manipulation, the laws of physics with this power usually give way to the rule of cool trope, which is basically hand-waving certain scientific laws or altering the nature of the power so that it can fit a certain narrative. These examples usually stay thematically true to the power, but they can usually add hilarious or confusing or awe-inspiring additions. Depends on how you look at it. Users of this ability are normally portrayed to be some kind of big good or incorruptible force in like 90% of the cases. In more modern times, light manipulation abilities also tend to carry an aristocratic presence. And through this, more stereotypes that could be considered negative have appeared, such as light users also being portrayed as prideful and arrogant, oftentimes narcissistic with a good reason. Because in most mediums, unless stated to be otherwise, light manipulation is portrayed to be beautiful, dazzling, and it's also viewed as the definitive power to acquire or protect, making it something that inspires reverence on top of having massive power output. And as such, they are usually portrayed as angelic beings on average, even if they aren't really angels, so expect them to be paired with wings or have light-colored hair, clothing, and eyes, preferably blonde or yellow glowing eyes, but white is just as common. Users of this ability can't help but be admired or envied, and because of that, it pushes them to the forefront of most stories. Just like actual light in our real world is something that you can't help but notice and miss when it's not there. Which explains why in our world, it's fairly common to refer to someone you both admire, respect, and aspire to be like as a light, or illuminate for those who like big words, you guys. So, in like 99.9995 repeating % of portrayals, they will always be seen as the leader of a group or organization, or have followers in some way, shape, or form. And at their least importance, they will be an out-of-reach character, the kind that has no relevance to the plot and whose actions barely affect it. You know, like a saint who can or won't act, or an apathetic deity, the kind that isn't evil, but they aren't good either. So long story short, there ain't gonna be much help. It's also common for this element to be reduced to its base term and be used as a metaphorical narrative device that the mentor or leader will pass on to the student or descendant, ranging from an inherited will to an actual object in order to continue the fight against the forces of evil, aka darkness. Users of this godlike ability are shown to have a variety of stats, but stereotypically, they will possess the highest level of speed possible, usually making them the fastest character in whatever medium you find them in, along with moderate to high attack power and immense versatility. Versatility? Versatility. Because of the various types of known light and the ways it can be applied in world culture. But that's where the superiority of this power mainly ends. Its stats for defense can be portrayed in varying ways, thanks to the hard light concept, but it's mostly portrayed to be fairly poor, making this user a stereotypical glass cannon. They also suffer when it comes to predictability because light travels so fast it can't change direction without being reflected or refracted in some manner. But its sheer speed makes up for this. Then again, this isn't the kind of ability you would find on the front lines of any battlefield unless they're leading the charge. And even then, they won't be doing much of the fighting because of the meta context I stated earlier. But continuing from that, extremely mainstream capabilities that users of light manipulation are able to possess are hard light or light hard projections. This can double up and allow them to fire laser beams, which are concentrated or solidified light, and if that doesn't tickle their fancy, then they can use a more subtle approach, such as using holograms and become a master of illusion that way. Okay, grab your sunglasses and get ready. With the power to control light comes the natural ability to attack with, defend with, and harness light with light attacks. You're able to use light to control and manipulate other objects or mimic a telekinetic effect with Photokinesis, as well as generate warmer temperatures due to the light rays with heat generation. They are able to bypass the intangible nature of light and interact with it as if it was solid without actually making it solid, whether they can control it or not, with light contact. And through this ability, they're able to twist and shift photons to create illusions and become invisible or create intense bursts of light to disorient with blindness inducement. While more gifted users are capable of harnessing light and giving it mass and hardness with light solidification. This gives the user more versatility with the solid light, allowing them to make both complex and non-complex shapes with photokinetic constructs, aka hard light constructs. And with that level of familiarity, the user should be able to generate their own source of light completely separate from outside sources with light generation. And with all those light rays you're producing, You don't have to stick with just plain white. Why? Because white light contains all of the forms of light. So, upon separating them and focusing on a particular spectrum, you should be able to generate various shades of hues of visible light with color generation. And if you combine all those applications mentioned earlier, you can take this ability to the next level and create lifelike illusions, simulations, and realities, respectively, that can fool both humans and machines alike with holographic projection. The most gifted users, however, are capable of completely interfering and eliminating light sources in whatever manner or desire they choose with light negation. This can be done by draining sources of their illumination by consuming the light from the source with light absorption. You can absorb light from outside sources and enhance your own being with light empowerment. And this allows you to heal yourself or others with your enhanced light rays or particles with light healing. And the user is capable of completely restoring or rebuilding themselves using the element as a medium with photokinetic regeneration. But if you want to take a more proactive and aggressive approach to life, then you can merge light with whatever combative capabilities you possess with photokinetic combat. You might as well add laser generation and manipulation to that as well, as lasers are essentially a beam of concentrated, solidified light which have massive destructive potential. Moving on from that, you would be able to transform your life energy into light with light aura, or take it a step further and transform your physical form into that of light with light mimicry. And since you can become pure visible light itself, why shouldn't you be able to blend in with the surrounding light and conceal your presence with photokinetic invisibility? While the best of the best, those that have mastered this ability to its fullest and are pushing divine levels of power, can shift the previously mentioned ability outward and affect both organic and non-organic targets with light transmutation, which would essentially turn them into photons, which would then disperse, because that's what they do, killing them. Users are capable of enhancing whatever locomotive capabilities they possess, such as riding a wave or a piece of solidified light, with photokinetic surfing. They can also use light to propel themselves through the air via photokinetic flight. Or another unique property of light manipulation that is exclusive to the element and its themes is the capability to travel at the speed of light, which is faster than anything on Earth at least. This gives you a superior level of speed we can classify as supernatural speed. But that's not the fastest a user of this power can go. I know, what's faster than traveling at the speed of light? The answer? Teleportation. And light manipulation users can do this in one or two ways: by shifting their physical form into protons and moving from one location to another via photoportation, or by using their connection to light to instantly jump from one source of light to another, regardless if they're connected or not, with light warping. And last but certainly not least, they're capable of creating a pulse, field, or blast of light so pure, I guess, that blinds the targets either temporarily or permanently, and also may have additional effects of dulling or even completely negating the other senses, even parts of a memory. And adding insult to injury, they have the potential to be able to generate light so intense that it can completely obliterate objects in its path via heat with absolute light. Or if you really want your medium to be special, then you can say that the brightness is so intense that it creates a void of light where nothing else can exist. So, you know what? Let's add another power to this list and call it light void creation. And there you have it. Light manipulation in a nutshell. Now, are those all the applications and possible abilities? No, not really. A superpower this big can and will get away from me if I get sidetracked. So, I mainly stayed within the category of this power without getting too far off topic. But getting back on task again, although this ability has clear advantages that place it above many others, it has just as many limitations that can refract you as well. This ability is normally portrayed and contrasted against darkness manipulation, like I stated earlier. And in more ambiguously themed mediums, this power has the potential to be overwhelmed by users of darkness manipulation. The user is also affected by everything regular light is, such as reflection, refraction, and users of gravity manipulation can bend and change the trajectory of your light, because gravity can do this in our world. And no matter how powerful the light is, it will always pass completely through anything transparent, and dark colors can absorb light altogether. And if you come across that one person that has photokinetic immunity, then put that speed to good use and zip on out of there. And lastly, the user's own skill, talent, knowledge, and strength are dependent factors on how far one will progress with the ability like this. And now, with all that out of the way, it's time to place this ability on the scale. Light manipulation is the kind of ability that can grant status and power, but can also inspire envy in others. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, the Shey scaling system gives this power a 7.5. Lots of potential with this power, and even more with fooling your enemies, as well as being destructive, but it's pretty straightforward and predictable. Thanks for watching. You guys think of any more applications for this power? Jot it down in the comments section. Start a discussion. The index does not grow without you guys. I'll be back with an entirely new power, breakdown, and analysis fairly soon. Deuces.